The lawyer will come by tomorrow to have the guardianship papers signed. Finally, everything is coming under our control. This voice seeping through the crack in my bedroom door belonged to my daughter-in-law, Isabella. My eyes were closed, my breathing steady. They thought I was asleep. After all, because of that so-called heart medicine they gave me every night, I was supposed to pass out by 9 o'clock. But tonight, I did not swallow the pill. Just like I had done for the past 3 weeks, I hid it under my tongue and flushed it down the toilet at the first opportunity. After we put him in the nursing home, we'll sell the house, Santiago whispered. My only son. He won't even notice the money is gone. The drugs have turned him into a vegetable. At that moment, a real pain stabbed my chest. But it wasn't the harbinger of a heart attack. It was the sting of betrayal. Someone who has spent 25 years in the emergency room learns to distinguish between different kinds of pain, and this was a pain that no medicine could relieve. Still, the blank expression on my face didn't change. I kept breathing at the same pace because a completely different voice was rising in my mind. Well, mijito, you and that woman think your mother is now a bedridden patient, but there's one thing you're forgetting. I'm a nurse, and nurses know how to survive better than anyone else. My name is Catalina Morales, but everyone calls me Cata. I am 49 years old. I worked in the emergency room at San Antonio Memorial Hospital for 25 years. Heart attacks, drug overdoses, gunshot wounds. I've witnessed every crisis imaginable. I learned to spot every kind of liar, every kind of manipulator. 3 years ago, I had my own heart attack and was forced to retire early. Now I was lying in my own home, like a prisoner of my own son. But there was one thing they didn't know. The most important rule the emergency room taught me was not to panic. Stay calm, make your plan, and wait for the right moment. So the lawyer was coming tomorrow, and me? I was ready too. In the morning, I opened my eyes at 7 o'clock, as usual. The 25 years of shift discipline ingrained in my body had not left my soul, even though I was retired. The sun was shining into my room through the lace curtains, and birds were chirping outside. Everything seemed so normal, but nothing was normal anymore. The door to my bedroom opened quietly, and Isabella slipped in with a tray in her hand. With that fake smile plastered on her face, she said, "Good morning, Mommy. I brought your breakfast. You took your pills, didn't you?" The pills. This daily morning ritual. Small white pills, pink capsules. For your heart, they said. But I knew that one of those pink capsules was a sedative, given to numb me and take away my ability to question. "I took them, dear," I murmured as softly as I could. In reality, I had already rolled the pills under the sheet. In a moment, I would go to the bathroom and send them all where they belonged. When Isabella left the room, I was alone. I looked at the coffee on the tray. It was cold, watery, an insult to coffee. I used to make my own coffee. The strong kind, the kind that draws you in with its aroma. Now, this thing placed in front of me was just brown water. I looked out the window at the backyard, where the rose tree was adorned with pink flowers. Santiago and I had planted that tree together when he was 8 years old. It was Santiago's 8th birthday. At the time, I was a single mother struggling to make ends meet. His father had left when he was only 3, using the cheap excuse that family responsibilities were too much for me. I was left to raise my only son on my own. I worked night shifts, I saved on daycare costs, and thanks to my neighbor Senora Pacheco, I didn't have to worry about him at night. Plus, the night shift pay was 20% higher, and every penny was vital at that time. I remember the morning of that birthday as if it were yesterday. When I got home from my shift, it was 7:30. I was exhausted to the bone. All night I had dealt with 3 heart attacks, 2 traffic accidents, and 1 overdose case. But as soon as I opened the door, Santiago, running towards me in his pajamas, instantly made me forget my fatigue. "Mom, today is my birthday. Can I invite the kids over?" I collapsed on the edge of the couch. My feet were swollen, my back was stiff. But when I saw the sparkle in my son's eyes, that pure excitement, all my exhaustion vanished. "Of course, sweetheart. We'll have a wonderful party." "Really, Mom? Will there be cake and balloons, too?" "Everything will be there, my sunshine." The money in my bank account was barely enough for that month's rent and bills. Still, how could I let that smile fade from my son's face? That day, I didn't sleep a wink and headed straight to the supermarket. I bought a cheap cake mix from the discount section, a few packs of balloons, and some colorful paper plates. Making everything at home would be much cheaper than ordering from outside. As I mixed the cake batter with hands trembling from lack of sleep, the children's laughter from the backyard kept me going. By evening, everything was ready. Balloons, a colorful tablecloth, and Santiago's favorite chocolate cake standing proudly in the middle. It may not have been perfect, but every corner was filled with love. When he saw his friends, Santiago ran and hugged me, shouting, "Mom, you're the best mom in the world." And then he added, "When I grow up, I'll take care of you, Mom. I promise." Those words were engraved on my heart like a seal. Now, as I look at that rose tree from the window, I remember those words. The sapling we planted after the party had grown and bloomed every year, just like my son. Santiago had grown up. But what about those words? Those words had turned into a big lie. Now, in the shade of that tree, Santiago and Isabella were probably plotting how to gently remove me from their lives. And here I was, imprisoned in this room, searching for that innocent 8-year-old boy. Where had that child disappeared to? Isabella entered my room with a cardboard box in her hands. "Mommy, let's pack up your old things today." The clutter in the house is stressing you out. Inside the box were my old photos, my diplomas, the service medals I received from the hospital. In short, my entire past. "Are you going to throw these away?" I asked. "No, dear, how could we? We'll just move them to the garage. Less clutter, less stress. It's for your own good." It was another way to erase me, to wipe out my past, to steal my identity. I remembered the heart attack I had 3 years ago. In the midst of the chaos in the emergency room, when I suddenly felt that sharp pain in my chest and the numbness in my left arm, as a nurse, I knew immediately what was happening. I remember yelling to my colleague, "Put an EKG on me," and then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes in intensive care, Santiago was waiting by my bedside, holding my hand with tear-filled eyes, saying, "I won't let anything happen to you, Mom. I'll take care of you now." I was grateful when he and Isabella said they would live with me and never leave me alone for a moment. It turns out that this promise to take care of you was the first step in their plan to take control of my life. After I left the hospital, they moved into my home. First, they took my bank card for security reasons. Then they started monitoring my phone to keep me away from stress. They removed my friends one by one so they wouldn't tire you out. And within 3 years, I became a stranger, a prisoner in my own home. That heart attack almost killed me. But the real death blow was this slow poisoning I experienced afterwards. 6 months ago, my former colleague Rosa came to the house secretly. She came in through the back garden, where the security cameras couldn't see her. She had a package in her hand. "Kata, I need to show you something." When I opened the package, there were bank statements inside, my accounts. But the numbers were wrong. "Rosa, what is this?" I got help from a friend. We checked the bank records. "Catalina, over the last 3 years, $180,000 has been withdrawn from your account, all with Santiago's signature. $180,000, my retirement savings, 25 years of work, the equivalent of 70 to 80-hour work weeks. But But how? Without my signature. They obtained power of attorney. When you were hospitalized, they had you sign a document for emergency guardianship. Do you remember? I tried to remember. When I was discharged from the hospital, I signed a bunch of documents. They said, just discharge papers. But in reality, one of those documents gave them financial authority. Catalina, this is abuse. It's a crime. We have to go to the police. But at that moment, something inside me snapped. Could I hand over my own flesh and blood, the child I had given birth to after 10 hours of labor, to the police with my own hands? I didn't cry that night, because the springs of tears inside me had dried up. All that remained was an ICY determination. Rosa was right. Santiago was no longer my son. He was a stranger who exploited me. And I, Catalina Morales, a nurse who had saved the lives of others for 25 years, now had to save my own life. Today, as I look out the window at the garden, I watch these 4 memories like a film reel: the 8th birthday, the graduation ceremony, the heart attack, and a stolen life. All were tokens of the sacrifices I made in the name of being a good mother. But now I understand that being a good mother doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for your child. Being a good mother means setting boundaries, saying no, and protecting yourself from your own child when necessary. Santiago promised me he would take care of me. Yes, he did, but not me. He took care of the money in my bank account. But I won't let him play that game anymore, because I, Catalina Morales, am not just a mother. I am someone who has managed to survive, and those who survive know how to fight better than anyone else. The days after Rosa's visit were hell. I saw everything differently now. Every movement, every word, every glance. It was all part of a deception. And worst of all, I couldn't tell anyone. My phone was under surveillance. I couldn't leave the house. Security cameras were everywhere. In my own home, I felt like I was in prison. The first blow came a week later. At breakfast, Santiago handed me an envelope. Mama, I have some documents you need to sign. When I opened the envelope, there were legal documents inside, pages full of small print, legal terms. I read the title, Permanent Will Amendment and Property Transfer Deed. What's this, mijo? Just routine stuff, Mama. The lawyer said we need to update our estate planning. It's best for your health. If anything happens, everything should be ready. I tried to read the document, but my eyes were blurry. The words danced across the page. Was it the effect of the medication, or was it panic? Santiago, I need to show this to the lawyer. My own lawyer. Mama, his voice hardened. You don't have a lawyer anymore. Don't you remember? Senor Herrera retired. Now our lawyer takes care of everything. You can trust him. You can trust him. That word formed a lump in my throat. Isabella came over to me. She took my hand with that fake warmth of hers. Mama Cata, we just want to protect you. These documents are for your future. If you ever need to go to a nursing home, everything will be ready. Nursing home. That word slithered into my ears like a snake. I don't want to go to a nursing home. Of course you don't, said Santiago, softening his voice. But Mama, we have to be realistic. If your heart condition worsens, you may need professional care. These documents ensure that everything goes smoothly in that situation. He handed me a pen. Just sign. It's all for your own good. My hand trembled. I held the pen. I looked at that document. A voice inside me screamed, "Don't sign! It's a trap. They'll destroy you." But there was another voice, more tired, more defeated. What can you do? It's already over. You've lost. And in that moment, I did something. I put the pen down. No. There was silence. Santiago and Isabella looked at me in shock. "What did you say?" Santiago asked. I said no, I won't sign it. I need to show this to my own lawyer first. I saw Santiago's face darken. That warm, "my dear son" mask fell away. Beneath it, someone else emerged. "Mom, you don't know what you're saying. The medication is messing with your head. You need to sign this document." "No." "Mom," his voice rose, "I'm here working for you. I'm sacrificing my life for you, and you don't even thank me. You will sign this document because it's for your own good." He stood up. He slammed his fist on the table. The coffee cups shook, one tipped over, coffee spilling onto the white tablecloth. The brown stain slowly grew. I froze in my seat. My heart was pounding wildly. A pain started in my chest. I didn't know if it was real or just panic from fear. Isabella held Santiago's arm. "Carino, calm down. Stress isn't good for the heart." Then she turned to me in that fake, compassionate tone. "Mama Cata, do you see? You're upsetting yourself. You should take your medicine and rest." And just like that, they sent me to my room, like a child, like an object. That day, lying in bed in the dark, staring at the ceiling, I realized I was no longer a mother to them. I was an obstacle, a barrier to be overcome. The second blow came 3 days later, and this one was even more ruthless. That morning, when I went to the bathroom, I checked my medicine cabinet, like I did every morning. But this time, something was different. The box of my heart medicine looked different from the old one. I took the box and held it up to the light. The label was the same, but the pills inside were a slightly different color, a lighter pink. As someone who had been a nurse for 25 years, I recognized the pills. And these pills were not my normal heart medication. I took one out. I looked at the code on it. Then I found the old box, in the trash can, not yet thrown away. I compared the two pills. They were different. My hands started shaking. I grabbed the phone, but wait, the phone was under their control. Did I have a computer? No, they had taken that too, saying, "Don't stress." But in my bedroom, I had an old medical encyclopedia, dusty, untouched for years. I took it off the shelf and found the section with the drug codes, and what I read froze my blood. The new pill wasn't a heart medication. It was a sedative, a powerful tranquilizer, normally prescribed for severe depression or intense anxiety. Side effects: drowsiness, memory loss, impaired concentration, addiction. They were poisoning me. I fell to my knees, on the cold bathroom floor. I couldn't breathe. My chest was tightening. Was this a real heart attack or the peak of panic? "Dios mío," I whispered. "They're trying to kill me." But no, not kill me, worse. They were trying to turn me into a living dead person, to destroy my mental capacity. So they could say, "Look, my mother can't take care of herself anymore. We have to send her to a nursing home." At that moment, I looked in the bathroom mirror. Was the woman I saw me? Thin, pale, dark circles under her eyes, her hair graying. How much I had changed in 3 years. But in my eyes, there was still something. A spark. Was it anger or the instinct to survive? I flushed that pill down the toilet. And the others too. All of them. If they were going to poison me, I would deceive them. Every day, they would think I was taking the pills, but I would keep throwing them away. This was my silent war. The third blow was the most devastating, and it was the last straw. That day was Thursday. I remember because every Thursday was Rosa's day off. She would normally come visit me secretly from the back garden, but she didn't come that week. I was curious, but I couldn't get in touch with her. In the afternoon, there was a knock at the door. The courier had brought a package. Santiago took it, but when he saw the package, His face changed. "What's this?" he asked the courier. "For Señora Catalina Morales. From the hospital. From the hospital." My heart raced. Maybe Rosa had sent something. Santiago took the package. "Thank you. I'll take it." The courier left. Santiago opened the package. Inside was an envelope, and as he read it, his face twisted with anger. "What does this mean?" he grumbled. Isabella came over. "What's wrong?" "The hospital sent Mom a gala invitation. They're giving out the Nurse of the Year Honor Award. They're inviting former employees. The gala, the hospital's annual event. They held it every year for heart health awareness, and this year they were going to honor me." My heart warmed. So Rosa had arranged this. She was trying to pave a way for me. "We should give it to Mama," said Isabella. Maybe she'd like to go. It would be good for her to socialize." But Santiago shook his head. "No, it's too dangerous. Too much excitement, too much stress. Her heart can't handle it." "But Carino, maybe—" I said no. Santiago tore up the envelope. He threw the pieces in the trash. "Mom isn't going to this event, and we'll write a thank you letter to the hospital saying her health condition isn't suitable." And just like that, they made the decision, on my behalf, about my life. But I, behind the door, in the hallway, heard everything. The sound of that torn envelope was the tearing of my last hope. That night, in the dark, in my bed, I couldn't sleep anymore. My eyes were on the ceiling, but I wasn't seeing. I was just thinking. 25 years. I worked in that hospital for 25 years. I saved lives. I served people. And now they want to honor me. But I am a prisoner in my own home. My own son tells me, "You can't go." When did this happen? When did I become incapable of making my own decisions? A heart attack? Number. The heart attack was just an excuse. The real reason was Santiago and Isabella's greed. And I, in the name of being a good mother, had allowed it all. But enough is enough. I got up, slowly, quietly. I went to the window. I looked outside. The rose tree in the garden cast a shadow in the moonlight. And as I looked at that tree, I remembered 8-year-old Santiago. "Mama, you're the best mom. When I grow up, I'll take care of you." But that child is dead. Maybe he never even existed. Maybe I just imagined him. All that's left is a stranger who exploits me, poisons me, destroys me. And in that moment, something inside me broke. No, it didn't break. It transformed. Pain turned into anger. Helplessness turned into determination. The spirit of a victim turned into the spirit of a warrior. Because I, Catalina Morales, was not just a sick mother. I was a nurse who had worked in the emergency room for 25 years. I had learned to respond to every kind of crisis, to take control of every situation. And now, it was time to respond to my own crisis. Silently, I went to the closet. On the top shelf, there was an old box. Inside were things I had taken when I retired years ago. My hospital card, my old notes, and most importantly, the emergency contact list. My old colleagues' numbers. I found Rosa's number, but how would I call her? The phone was under control. Then I remembered. There was an old phone in the garage, one Santiago had used years ago, then replaced. Maybe it still worked. But how would I get to the garage? There were security cameras. My every move was being watched. And in that moment, my nurse brain kicked in. I started making a plan. The cameras only showed certain angles. There was a corner from the kitchen to the garage door, a blind spot, if I could get through there late at night while they were asleep. But more importantly, I had to fool them. They had to think I was taking my medication every day, that I was the docile, sick, harmless Mama Cata. I would learn to act. In the emergency room, Sometimes you had to speak their language to talk to patients, to calm them down, to gain their trust. Now, in my own home, I would use the same technique to deceive my own son and daughter-in-law. I returned to bed, but this time, as a different woman. I was no longer the victim. I was the prey and the hunter. The next morning at breakfast, when Santiago handed me the pills, I smiled. Gracias, mijo. And I took the pills. I put them in my mouth, drank some water. But secretly, I hid the pills under my tongue. Then, a few minutes later, I went to the bathroom and threw them up. I would play this game. I would be the perfect sick mother for them, obedient, quiet, harmless. But when night fell, the real me would wake up, and I would make plans. Because that gala wasn't just an honor. For me, it was an escape route. All my old colleagues would be there. Hospital administration, social services, even security. There, I could make my voice heard. But first, I had to get there. And Santiago would never allow that. So I had to go secretly, and to do that, I had to devise a perfect plan. Right then, there, at the breakfast table with my fake smile, I understood. The war had begun, a silent, secret, but deadly war. And I, Catalina Morales, had no intention of losing. Because they could take my money, my home, my freedom. But there was one thing they couldn't take, my survival instinct. And that instinct was now burning brightly. The first step of the plan was to get to the garage, and I would do that tonight. When the clock struck midnight, I quietly got out of bed. I pressed my ear to the door. The sound of snoring came from Santiago and Isabella's room. Good. I didn't put on my slippers. Bare feet were quieter. I slowly opened the door. The hallway was dark. Only the light from the refrigerator in the kitchen provided a faint glow. I knew the position of the security camera. It was pointing at the right side of the hallway, but on the left side, if I hugged the wall, I could pass through its blind spot. I held my breath. Step by step, leaning against the wall, I began to move forward. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears. I had worked in the emergency room for 25 years, but now, in my own home, I was hiding like a thief. I reached the kitchen. The garage door was right next to the refrigerator. This was the spot the camera couldn't see. I moved my hand toward the door handle. It was locked. Of course it was locked. Santiago had everything under control. But wait, I had lived in this house for years. The spare keys were in the top cabinet. I reached up and quietly opened the cabinet door. I slipped my hand inside. I searched among the glasses and plates. And I found it. The cold metal touched my fingers. I turned the key. The door opened. I stepped into the darkness of the garage. The air was thick with the smell of gasoline and old boxes. I felt my way forward. In the corner, among the old belongings, I remembered the box with Santiago's old phone. I found it. I took out the phone. The screen was cracked, but maybe if it charged. I plugged it into the old outlet in the garage. I waited. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. And then, the screen flickered. It turned on. Thank God. I dialed Rosa's number. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Hola? A sleepy voice. Rosa, I whispered. It's me, Catalina. Cata. Dios mío, it's midnight. What happened? Are you okay? Rosa, listen. I don't have time. They're poisoning me. They changed my medication. They're planning to send me to a nursing home, and they won't let me go to the gala. What? But we sent the invitation. Santiago tore up the invitation. Rosa, I have to go to that gala. It's my only chance, but I don't know how to do it. There are cameras everywhere. I don't have a phone. I can't go outside. Rosa was silent. She was thinking. Then that sharp nurse's mind kicked in. Okay, listen. The gala is in 3 weeks on Saturday. That day, we'll pick you up. But first, we need a few things. Like what? Evidence. Altered medications, bank records, guardianship documents, everything. Find them, photograph them, send them to me. Hide this phone. I'll call you at the same time every night. But Rosa, how will I find these? Everything is locked. You're a nurse, Kata. We know how to open locked medicine cabinets. You'll learn how to open filing cabinets, too. Think about it. In the hospital, in emergencies, we wouldn't wait. We'd act immediately. She was right. In the ER, sometimes you had to quickly open a locked medicine cabinet to save a life. Now, I would use those same skills to save my own life. Okay, I'll do it. And Kata, be careful. They're dangerous. You're just an obstacle to them now. I know. I hung up the phone. I put it back in the garage, and I quietly returned to my room. That night, I couldn't sleep. But this time, it wasn't because of fear. I was making plans. The next day at breakfast, I acted as usual. I smiled, said, "Gracias, mijo," took the pills, but continued to throw them away. But in my mind, I was making calculations. Santiago's study was on the second floor of the house. That's where all the documents were. Bank papers, guardianship papers, the house deed. Everything was in a locked drawer. But Santiago left for work every morning at 9. Isabella went to her yoga class in the afternoon. That left me alone for an hour. 1 hour. Was that enough time to carry out the plan? 3 days later, the opportunity came. Santiago went to work, Isabella to yoga. I was alone. But wait, security cameras. There was a camera in the study, too. I looked out the window. The electrical box was in the garden. If I turned off the main switch, the cameras would shut down, too. But then, Santiago would get a remote alert. "The power's out," it would say. But power outages were normal, especially in San Antonio during the summer. Maybe they wouldn't suspect anything. I had to take the risk. I went out into the garden. I went to the electrical box. I found the switch. And I turned it off. Every light in the house, every device, every camera, they all shut down. I ran, upstairs, to Santiago's room. The drawer was locked, but where was the key? I searched the desk, the drawers. Nothing. Then I remembered. Santiago always carried his keys in his jacket pocket, but his jacket was in the closet. I opened the closet, found the jacket, searched the pockets, and found it, a small silver key. I opened the drawer. Inside were files, bank statements, guardianship papers, the house deed, everything. I started photographing them, with the old phone, every page. My hands were shaking, but I tried to focus. During my years as a nurse, I remained calm, even in stressful moments. I would stay calm now. But then I heard a sound. The door was opening. Isabella had come home early. "Mama Kata, estás aquí?" Panic. I quickly put the files back. I closed the drawer, tried to lock it, but my hands were shaking. "Mama? Why's the power out?" Footsteps on the stairs. I threw the key in my pocket. I closed the drawer. I wasn't sure if it was locked or not, but there was no way out. Isabella was in the hallway. "I'm here, mija," I said, leaving the room. "I'm surprised, too. Maybe the fuse blew." Isabella looked at me suspiciously. "Why did you go upstairs?" "Climbing the stairs is dangerous. Your heart." "I just wanted to look out the window. The weather is so nice today." Did she believe me? I didn't know. But the phone was in my pocket. The keys were in my pocket. I had the evidence. "Let's go downstairs," said Isabella. "I'll turn the power back on." That night, in bed, I looked through the photos. Bank statements. Over the last 3 years, $180,000 had been withdrawn from my account, all with Santiago's signature. Guardianship documents. There was a document called Emergency Financial Power of Attorney with my signature. But I didn't remember signing it. Maybe they had me sign it in the hospital under the influence of medication. And the house deed, there was a note in Santiago's handwriting. Selling price of the house, $420,000. It could be sold for a good price. They were planning to sell my house without my knowledge. Anger boiled inside me, but at the same time, my conscience was speaking. But he's your son, your own flesh and blood. Are you going to turn him in to the police? Are you going to ruin his life? I stopped. I picked up the phone, but I couldn't press the buttons because I saw a photo, an old family photo, in a frame on the nightstand. Santiago, 8 years old, in my arms, smiling. In front of that pink rose bush, that little boy, that innocent face, that child who said, "Mama, I love you." Where did he go? I reached out my hand to the photo. I touched it. The glass fogged up with my fingerprints. Maybe I should talk to him. Maybe if I say it clearly, maybe he'll change. Maybe I can bring back the old Santiago. That thought was warm and comforting. To forgive, to forget, to say, let's work it out as a family. How easy it would be. But then I remembered something else. That night, the night I overheard them talking. After we put him in the nursing home, we'll sell the house. He won't even notice the money. Santiago's voice, cold, calculated, no hesitation, no conscience. He was no longer the child in front of that pink rose tree. I picked up the phone. I texted Rosa. I've gathered the evidence. I'll send it all to you. But the next day, something else happened, and this stirred my conscience again. In the afternoon, I was sitting in the living room. Santiago had come home, looking sad. "Mom, I need to tell you something." He sat down next to me. He held my hand. In his eyes, there was that old warmth, or maybe I just wanted to see it. Things aren't going well. The real estate market is terrible. I have debts, and I'm worried about you. Maybe we really should find a place where we can take better care of you. Nursing home, that word again. But mijo, I'm happy here, in my own home. I know, Mama, but your health, your heart, if something happens and we're not there. Her voice broke. Tears welled up in her eyes. And in that moment, the doubt inside me resurfaced. Maybe she really is worried. Maybe she's just helpless. Maybe I'm being too harsh. That night, in bed, I looked at that photo again. Santiago, 8 years old. That smile. Maybe I should give him a chance. Maybe I should speak openly. I should say, "Mijo, I know everything, but I love you. We can figure this out together." I picked up the phone. I was about to call Rosa, but I stopped because at that moment, I remembered something else. The drugs, the altered drugs, the pills that poisoned me. If Santiago is really worried, why is he giving me the wrong medication? If he really says it's for my health, why is he drugging me? And those tears. Maybe it's just an ACT to soften me up. Anger flared up inside me again. No, he's not that child anymore. Those tears are fake. That concern is an act. You, Catalina, can't be fooled anymore. I picked up the phone. I called Rosa. "Rosa, I'm ready. I'm sending everything, and I'm going to that gala." "Are you sure, Cata? There's no turning back." "I'm sure, because I saved lives for 25 years. Now it's time to save my own life." The next 2 weeks were intense. Every day I played a role. The docile, sick, harmless mother. I took the pills, but threw them away. I smiled. "See, mijo," I said. But at night, I made plans with Rosa. On the day of the gala, how I would escape, what I would say, who I would talk to. Rosa arranged hospital security. She prepared the social workers. She even found a lawyer. That night, Cata, you just talk. Tell the truth. We'll take care of everything else. But there was a problem. Santiago and Isabella. How would I get them to take me to the gala? They didn't want me to go. And then Rosa had an idea. We'll send an official call from the hospital. Senora Morales must attend the award ceremony. It will look like a legal document. Santiago can't refuse. But he still might not take me. That's why I'll come. By ambulance. I'll say it's for Mama Cata's checkup. But really, I'll take you. The plan was risky, but there was no other option. 2 days before the gala, I had one last moral struggle. That night, Santiago came to my room. He had a small box in his hand. Mama, I have a gift for you. When I opened the box, there was a necklace inside, a gold, small, heart-shaped pendant. This is my grandmother's necklace, Santiago said. She left it to me. Now I'm giving it to you, because you are my everything. The necklace sparkled in my hand. My grandmother's necklace. Years ago, I had left it with Santiago, saying, "One day, give it to someone you love." And now, he was giving it back to me. Mijo. My voice trembled. Wear it, Mama. Let it always be with you, just like I'll always be with you. At that moment, my heart melted. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he really was changing. I put on the pendant. The cold metal caressed my skin around my neck, and Santiago hugged me, a long, tight hug, just like he used to when he was a little boy. I love you, Mom. Me too, son. That night, I slept with the necklace, and in my dream, I saw 8-year-old Santiago. Pink roses, a smile. You're the best, Mom. Maybe I should give him a chance. But when morning came, reality slapped me in the face. Isabella was talking on the phone. In the kitchen, she didn't think she saw me. Yes, I made a reservation for the nursing home. We'll take him after the gala. Yes, the sale of the house is still going on. Signing at the end of the month. What? No. We put on that necklace. He's not suspicious anymore. Santiago did a good job. The world spun. The necklace. That necklace wasn't a gift. It was another lie. A manipulation tool to soften me, to prevent me from suspecting. I brought my hand to my neck. I took off the necklace and held it in my palm. That golden heart was cold now, just like Santiago's heart. And in that moment, all the guilt, all the hesitation vanished. In its place came a cold resolve. I threw the necklace in the trash, and I called Rosa. Tomorrow night, have everything ready. Are you sure? I'm sure, because I no longer have a son. I only have an enemy. And as I hung up the phone, I looked in the mirror. The woman I saw was no longer a victim. That woman was a warrior seeking justice. And tomorrow night, everyone would see her. When the gala night arrived, the sky over San Antonio was golden. As the sun set, the city lights began to turn on one by one. I stood in my bedroom in front of the mirror. I was wearing a navy blue dress, the one Rosa had sent. Simple, but elegant. My hair was pulled back, light makeup. But most importantly, there was determination in my eyes. Tonight, everyone would see me, the real Catalina. The door opened. Santiago entered, wearing a suit. Isabella was with him, in a pink dress. Mama, are you ready? The hospital car is here. Not a car, an ambulance, sent by Rosa. Yes, mijo, I'm ready. San Antonio Memorial Hospital was lit up with nightlights. The main hall was filled with crystal chandeliers, white-covered tables, and orchestral music. Hundreds of people, doctors, nurses, hospital administrators, donors. My old home. My home for 25 years. When I got out of the ambulance, Rosa greeted me. She had a wheelchair ready. Protocol, she said. But the real reason was to fool Santiago and Isabella, to make me look sick, weak. Mama, it's going to be exhausting for you, Santiago said. Let's leave right after you get the award, okay? Of course, mijo. We went inside. The hall was magnificent. At the tables, I saw my former colleagues, people I had worked with for 25 years. When they saw me, they began to applaud. Catalina, how we've missed you. Senora Morales, welcome back. My eyes filled with tears. These people remembered me. They loved me. Santiago looked bored. Mama, let's sit down at the table. Too much excitement isn't good for you. But at that moment, a voice rose. On the microphone stood the hospital director, Dr. Ramirez. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight for a special ceremony. For 25 years, saving lives in this hospital, touching countless lives, we are presenting our heroine, Catalina Morales, with the Lifetime Service Award. Applause poured down like rain. The spotlight turned to me. Rosa pushed the wheelchair, taking me to the stage. Santiago and Isabella remained at the table. Discomfort was written on their faces. When I stepped onto the stage, Dr. Ramirez shook my hand. He presented the award, a crystal plaque. Catalina, would you like to say a few words? I took the microphone. I looked out at the hall. Hundreds of eyes were focused on me, and in that moment, my heart began to pound wildly. But this time, it wasn't fear. It was the excitement of a moment of justice. Thank you, I said. My voice was strong, but it trembled. 25 years working at this hospital has been the most rewarding time of my life. Every night in the emergency room, I saved lives. I served people. Applause. But tonight, I want to talk to you about something else. About abuse. About elder abuse. The room fell silent. Santiago stood up, stunned. 3 years ago, I had a heart attack, and my son, Santiago, said, I'll take care of you. But taking care didn't mean taking control. Taking care didn't mean financial exploitation. From the microphone, I heard Santiago's voice. Mama, what are you doing? But I continued. Over the past 3 years, my son and daughter-in-law systematically isolated me. They drove my friends away. They monitored my phone. They changed my medication to drug me. And they stole $180,000 from my bank account. The room was shocked. Whispers spread. Rosa brought a file to the stage. Inside were all the pieces of evidence. Here are the bank statements. Here are the altered medications. Here are the fake guardianship documents. It's all here. The evidence was projected onto the screen. Bank withdrawals, Santiago's signature. Medication boxes, side-by-side comparison. The guardianship document, my forged signature. Santiago walked toward the stage. Mama, stop. You're sick. You're confused. The drugs. No, Santiago. My voice was like a sharp knife. I'm not sick. You are greedy and ungrateful. I turned and looked at the room. In this hospital, for 25 years, I've seen cases of elder abuse. Every single day. Children exploiting their parents. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, physical neglect. And I always thought, it won't happen to me. My eyes filled with tears, but this time, not from weakness, but from anger. But it did. My own son victimized me. And tonight, here, in front of all of you, I want justice. Rosa took the microphone. Hospital security, please come to the stage. 2 security guards approached Santiago and Isabella. You two will be questioned by the police on charges of financial abuse. Santiago panicked. No, no. This is a misunderstanding. Mama, please, I'm your son. My son was lost under the pink rose tree. You are just a stranger. And just like that, security escorted them out. Isabella was crying. Santiago was shouting. But none of it mattered anymore. The room gave me a standing ovation. To me, Catalina Morales, not just a victim, but a survivor. Rosa came over, hugged me. Good job, amiga. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt free. A month later, the legal process was complete. Santiago and Isabella were tried for financial abuse. The stolen money was returned to my account. The house deed was back in my name. And the guardianship document? It was revoked. No one could make decisions for me anymore. Only me. Santiago received a 2-year prison sentence. Isabella filed for divorce. Neither of them was in my life anymore. But strangely, I didn't feel sad, because the loss had begun years ago. The child under that pink rose tree was already gone. Today, I returned to my old office at the hospital, but not as a patient, as a counselor. The hospital invited me to join the Elder Protection Program, to help and guide elderly people who have been abused. "You've been through this, Catalina," said Dr. Ramirez. "Your experience can guide others." And I accepted. Now, every week, I come to the hospital. I talk to victims of abuse. "You are not alone," I say. "You can survive," I say. And they look at me and see hope. This morning, I'm sitting on the balcony, coffee in hand, the sun caressing my face. The pink rose tree in the garden is in bloom, just like every year. But this year, looking at that tree, I don't feel pain. I just see memories, good and bad, all part of my story. The phone rings. Rosa. "Cata, can you come over for coffee today? We have a new case. We need your experience." "Sure, amiga, I'm coming." I hang up the phone. I get up. I look in the mirror. I see a woman of 50. Her hair is white, lines on her face. But in her eyes, there is a sparkle. Life knocked me down, but I got back up. And now, I teach others to get back up too, because I, Catalina Morales, am not just a victim. I am a survivor, and I am strong. As I walk out the door, I glance one last time at the garden. Pink roses sway in the wind. "Adios, Santiago," I whisper. "I no longer forgive you, but I'm no longer bound to you either." And I walk toward a new day, a new life, free.